get to come to a center where we are not ruled by our inner critic. We don't have that supported. You don't have someone up on stage saying, you should not, you're wrong, you're bad. You don't have that. Isn't that fantastic? You get to come to a place that says, oops, so what? If you created it, you can uncreate it. If you didn't create it the way you want it, you can create it anew. And if something, it's not wrong, it's not a mistake, if something is a surprise, then all you have to do is say, oops. That's it. Try it. It's so freeing. Oops. You can do it. 1, 2, 3. Oops. That's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go down the rabbit hole into weeks of self-flagellation. You don't have to have your parents' voice inside of your head. You don't have to try to be somebody that you're not, to try to get approval from someone who's never going to give it. And even if they ever give it, they're giving it not to you, but to who you are not. Isn't that crazy? We try to be somebody else so that someone will like us and approve of us, but even if that succeeds, they're only liking and approving of who we have pretended to be. It's not us. So you might as well just give it up and let it be okay and be who you are and live your life. Take a breath, relax, everything is fine. Isn't that great? Yeah. It's fantastic. This is fantastic. Do you know that you are such a small percentage of what people are hearing, especially in Western North Carolina this morning? You gotta let the love flow and the light shine so that we can balance it out a little bit. Grateful for everything. We are in a process, and I feel something emerging in our community, and it's going hand in hand with Sunday morning and Monday night and things that are happening on the internet, the 100 Days of Gratitude, this shift in focus. And so we've started with an idea that we can shift, that we are at choice, that life doesn't happen to us, we happen to life. And if we choose to see life in a certain way, that's the way it will be. So if we have a life that we are not enjoying, what we need to do is change the way we see it. So that's all well and good. And then we moved into, and I'm giving you a refresher course just in case some of you need to catch up. Please feel free to jump on the bandwagon at any point. Then we went into no complaining. 30 days of no complaining. Some of us are still working on the 3 of the 30, but you know, the 0 is just nothing anyway, so. But the point of not complaining is to make ourselves aware of the unconscious words and thoughts that come out of our mouth, because sometimes catching it while it's going between our ears is a little more complicated than listening, so that when it comes out of our mouth, we can wake up to it and grab it and go, oh, wait a minute, that was a complaint. And if I complain, if I see the negative of something, I'm going to command the creative power of the universe to manifest that in my world, and then I'm going to be stuck with it. You complain about stuff because you don't like it. And yet here you are embarking in an activity that's going to assure that it stays in your life. That's nuts. That's nuts. The more you focus on it, the more you get. So no complaining. And then people were saying, well, okay, I'm not complaining, but I'm not saying anything. Now what do? We moved into an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude that is a way of looking at life and focusing on what we're grateful for. And it doesn't matter what it is. What we're doing is we're generating an experience of gratitude. We are feeling grateful. We are being grateful. So who cares what triggers that, as long as we get to gratitude. So we had rampages of appreciation. That's where you take anything. I picked ice cream last Monday night and just went off on ice cream. You know, you gotta love living in a time when you can open a box, it stays freezing cold, and you can pull something out of it that is made from a cow and sugar and flavors, and somehow somebody other than me whipped it all up, put it in this package, put it in the box, and all I have to do is go and open it up and eat it. This is a fantastic time to be alive. We can pick anything to be grateful for. We can move into this idea of gratitude. And what I shared was that when I just come back from Thailand, and I always see this country with new eyes whenever I leave it and come back home. And the things that we have, you know, one thing that I'm really enjoying right now in my life is fresh, ground, organic coffee. Isn't a coffee pot a miracle?
Yeah.
Doesn't it just help you make that shift from night to day? I'm so grateful for coffee. I'm so grateful for heat, for air conditioning, for vehicles, for airplanes, for cell phones, for new clothes that I got in LA last time I was there. I'm so grateful that we have all of this wonderful stuff. I'm so grateful for the people in my life. I'm so grateful for you. Aren't airplanes fantastic?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Do you know they've come up with something to harness the wind power coming out of the back of the airplanes at Asheville Airport that will provide enough electricity to run the airport? Denver Airport is run on solar power. They make money at the Denver Airport on their solar panels. So we focus on being grateful for something. Birthday cake. It's in the other room. We focus on being grateful for something. And then that's the easy part. So you've had a week under your belt to just go around and be grateful. I am so happy and grateful now that the electricity's back on. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have a DVR. I think DVRs are fantastic. If you're going to watch TV, you might as well watch what you want. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And then fill in the blank. That's the easy part. Everyone take a deep breath. Because now you've advanced to being grateful for things that you might not want to be grateful for. Now you've advanced to move into this spiritual realm that says, I am going to live in gratitude and I will be unmoved by the circumstances outside of myself. 2014 midterm elections. I'm going to be unmoved by the things that other people do. I'm going to be so clear in my gratitude about what's going on that I'm going to find something to be grateful for in this situation, and I'm going to use it as spiritual practice. Now, we get to be grateful for everything. Everything. We get to be grateful for the stuff that we say yay about and the stuff that we say nay about. We get to be grateful for everything, no matter how it looks, because our sense of gratitude is on the inside of us. We are not a puppet on a string that reacts to the situations around us without any say. And if you are just a reactive person, it's time that you cut those strings, stood on your own 2 feet, decided how you want your life to be, and then get busy going about creating that on the inside, insisting on it, and watching it change on the outside.
Yes.
Yes. We have the ability in ourselves to be grateful for everything. So I'd like to just offer you one of the very first things that I bring up in classes, and I bring this up regularly, and we're taming our inner critic. So what I would like to offer you as spiritual practice is being grateful for your physical form, buck naked. And I mean every inch of it. To be grateful for it. To be grateful for the fact that we have a body to express in. To be grateful for the idea of who we are, and not to let the ridiculous ads on television sway us into thinking that we have to be an anorexic 12-year-old to be looking appropriate. We aren't, and we don't want to be. We don't want to trade places with those models. We don't want to. We want to be us, to have the guts to be who we are, all of us. And what I found is that this goes right back around to complaining. That when we are critical of who we are, it's so easy to be critical of someone else. We're on the spiritual path, we're not supposed to let it out, so we just think it now. Did you see what they pulled into the parking lot in? Either it was too expensive or it was too cheap. Doesn't matter, just pick something. When we allow ourselves to be against ourselves, we find that we are against everyone else. And the only way out of that circle that I know of is to stop being against, to move into being for. So gratitude. And what I encourage all of my students to do is to get a full-length mirror, put it somewhere where when you come out of the bathtub or the shower, there you are. Because you're never going to do it if you say, okay, I have to go home at 4:15 and strip naked and stand in front of the mirror and do spiritual practice of gratitude. You want to kind of take it by surprise, and then you practice being grateful. Be grateful. How is anybody else going to look at you as beautiful, pure, perfect spirit if you don't look at yourself that way? When we stop holding on to our old patterns of making ourselves wrong and putting ourselves down, and we replace that with gratitude for everything, things begin to accelerate in their healing. Oh, but Barbara, you don't know what's happened to me. Chances are I do. I've been in this 35 years. Well, you don't know my story. Chances are I do. I just heard it with someone else's name. But I'm special. I have special trauma. I have special issues. No, you don't. You don't have anything special. Nobody in this room has anything special that happened to them. This is all part of our earth incarnation, and I'll grant you, what were we thinking? The moment before we slipped into physical form and we said, I'm into my power, my clarity, and my love. I'm going to incarnate in an environment that's going to allow me to love so many people. And we show up and we go, oh no, what have I done? And that's your opportunity to grow. But so many of us internalize the chaos, make ourselves wrong, and then live our lives in that lack of gratitude, that lack of, I don't even like the word forgiveness, because forgiveness is, you're wrong, but I'm holy. So I'm going to forgive you, you dirty, rotten Frankenstein. I'm going to forgive you for your evil ways and how much you hurt me, because I am going to be so much better than you. I don't like that. How about I am so grateful that you were willing to play the role that I needed to have played in my life. And the fact that pain was involved is just part of physical form. Get over it. I'm so grateful that you were willing to play that role so that I could learn how to love more than I ever thought I could love. How to be stronger and more dependent on myself. My chutzpah was in that song. There you are. I'm reclaiming my chutzpah. I grew up in Miami. I know Yiddish. That I can rely on that I can have that I can know that there's always more than enough. I'm so grateful for you for bringing up my area to heal. Oh, Barbara, you're crazy. You want me to be grateful for that? They are so obviously wrong, and I am so obviously right. But you know, wrong and right doesn't end war. Wrong and right doesn't heal the planet. Wrong and right doesn't change the diagnosis. Wrong and right does not put money in your bank account. Wrong and right makes you look old. Now I have attention. What? Grateful for everything. Practice it. Flat tire? Be grateful for it.
Yeah.
Gas prices at $2.77 a gallon? Be grateful for it. Gas prices at $4.50 a gallon? Be grateful for it. Elections that go one way, be grateful for it. Elections that go another way, be grateful for it. The dog next door, be grateful for it. What is your special exception? I love it. Robert Bitzer, the minister in North Hollywood, big Science of Mind center back in the beginning days of Science of Mind, used to say, we do not sacrifice principle, even on special occasions. Oh, this is a special occasion. This is ISIS. Be grateful for them. Barbara, you're crazy. Crazy happy, crazy in love, crazy clear. We're either grateful for everything, or if we give ourselves the out to have an exception, then we're grateful for nothing. We're only fair weather gratitude friends. We're only grateful when things look the way we think they should look, and when things get a little rippled and a little rough, we cave our spiritual practice and say, God is everywhere and always present except at the point of that. And we cannot afford to do that if we are going to be the leading light that lifts humanity into a different level of consciousness and reality. That's our job. Why do you think you went through your childhood? You went through your childhood to change the world. So you don't get to cave now on whether or not things don't look the way you think they should look, whether someone didn't say what you thought they should say, whether it didn't show up the way you thought it should show up. You've got to move into that idea that says there's a blessing in everything. Doesn't matter what the story is or what happens. Doesn't make you special. This is not the exception that all of spiritual principle comes to a screeching halt at.
No.
So if you didn't have that exception, that story, or that idea, who would you be? If you didn't have that thing that you thought makes you special, if I didn't have that thing that I thought, well, my trauma is bigger than your trauma. Who would I be without my trauma? Who would I be if I didn't hold on to that one little thing that says, I'll be grateful as long as the room is full. I'll be grateful as long as everything happened the way I think it should happen. I'll be grateful as long as John comes home on Tuesday. I'll be grateful as long as my dog doesn't chew anything up. I'll be grateful as long as I got plenty of money in the account. I'll be grateful as long as my body is healthy. I'll be grateful as long as I'm having these fantastic talks. I'll be grateful as long as everything looks the way I want it to look. That's not good enough.
No.
It's got to be, I'll be grateful no matter what. I will be unshakable as a light in this world. I will be so clear about who I am as the presence of Spirit let loose on planet Earth, standing in my gratitude and love that I will change the course of human history.
Yes.
That's what you need to do. And to do that, we've got to stop playing small, and the small game is that in this moment, there's a right and a wrong. In this moment, God is not made manifest as every last person involved. In this moment, things are different. No, it is this moment that calls us to move into our fullness as a spiritual being. And the path that I have found is double. Shut your mouth. Stop complaining, and if you open it, have it be with a heart full of gratitude. Those are your only two choices. And especially if something is getting to you, something's pissing you off, if something's got you hooked, that's the moment to be stronger than you ever thought you could be. Be grateful in the middle of a divorce. Don't wait 20 years later. Be grateful in the midst of the business. Be grateful in that moment that something happens that's a surprise. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, be grateful for what you see. Because if you weren't there, you'd be somewhere else. And if ever that critic gets a hold of you and starts if you ever do anything that maybe you thought you could have done a little better, all you need to do is stop, take a deep breath, and say, oops, and then be grateful. And so it is.